Hey everybody, Pete A. Turner from Lions Rock Productions, doing the intro for today's Break It Down show. Our special guest, very, very special guest, is Tito Ortiz. Yeah, that one. 6 different times Tito's entered the ring and held the UFC title belt above his head at the end. This is an incredible thing. He absolutely dominates people. He's the ground and pound guy. He comes in and is just in fantastic shape and works hard. His camps are legendary. Tito is still fighting today. Actually, at the end of this interview, he told us about his next fight coming up. I'm not sure if it's officially been announced or not yet, but he's still out there fighting regularly and getting paid big money to do it. That is an incredible thing. He's also busy all the time. This guy has multiple businesses. He's got a wholesale car business. He's just wrapped production on a movie that he's going to be in. I'm telling you right now, if you don't know this about Tito already, there are two things I think that truly highlight who he is, the man that he is, and why he's so fantastic. You cannot outwork this guy. He is as hardworking as it comes. He goes the extra mile, all of those things, and he's honest to a fault. He will tell you what he thinks. He expects you to be honest back to him. And I just love that about this guy. He's got a heart of gold. So he's a Hall of Famer in wrestling. He's a Hall of Famer in the UFC. He's a world champion. He's an actor. He's a businessman. You're going to learn so much about him. There's a couple of things I'm holding back here for you guys so you can enjoy it in this show. But the thing that when we had him on, and Scott Huesing and I did the show together, Scott booked Tito. It was great. Nick Velez, by the way, from Bastards Canteen. Hat tip to him for taking the pictures and doing the video production. But the thing that I want to get out about Tito is he lit up most, not when he was talking about championships and in terms of his life, when he talked about fishing. I had no idea he was that crazy of a fisherman. He's got a very good concept for a show that's going to be talked about in the episode, and I love that. I also want to note that Tito is a huge supporter of veterans. He just is compelled. It's one thing to say thank you for your service, but he is just driven to do more. And as a veteran, I truly appreciate how he attacks this. It's absolutely in line with his character, and I think you guys are going to love this show. Let's just go ahead and do it.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay
This
Moore.
is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This is
East.
Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick
This
Marotta.
is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hey, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
What's up? This is Tito Ortiz, and you're listening to the Break It Down Show.
Yeah, here we are. We're at Punishment in Huntington Beach with the Huntington Beach Bad Boy, Scott Huesing, of course, co-hosting, co-producing with me, and it's awesome to have you here. Thanks for coming on.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Everybody has asked you all the questions about fighting, all that kind of stuff, so we're going to do our best to totally avoid all that crap.
Right. No, it's only been 22 years of competing, but and
so
still competing.
when you're across from Chuck Liddell, none of that. So, but and also, if you want to ask us questions, feel free to hit the ball back because that's how conversations go.
Cool.
But I want to just ask you a nice, big, fat, wide open question. What's the question nobody asks that they should ask?
I don't know. I do so many interviews, and people, they try to ask those same questions, but sometimes different questions.
Yeah.
What they don't ask, gosh. I know I'm pretty open book, man. Everything I say, anybody asks me, I really don't say no.
Sometimes when you do interviews, you get to these talking points. You're like, well, tell me about the auto group. Tell me about the last fight, and you have kind of, it just flows naturally after a while. Yeah. There's come points in my career too where I give all those and I go, man, I wish someone would ask me something that I would really make me say something more unvarnished or raw. Like I just really want to pour it out.
Something that I pay attention now is just parenthood.
Yeah,
fathers being parents. I kind of, people follow me on my Instagram at Tito Ortiz 1999. They see how I'm a father to my children, and I try to be the father my father never was. Parent, present, willing to show me things, willing to let me fail and correct my failures, and pick me back up my feet and help me out, say he loves me, say he's proud of me. Things like that I never grew up with that I'm able to do with my kids. And be present, as in not just present as coming home from work and saying, son, I love you, but coming home from work and if you have to take a shower or so forth, sitting on the couch and grabbing your kids, saying, I love you guys, and really be passionate to the kids and show them what that love is really like, because when they get into a certain age, they're not going to want it at all. And there's a lot of challenges that kids go through that, parents just throw a cell phone to them or tell them to get on the computer or Xbox, and they really don't let them use their ideas or take responsibility for any of their own actions. I mean, they say it's his fault, but not really realize of being a parent is showing his child what they can and can't do, to give them levels of saying, no, you can't do this and you can't do that. But this is the things that you can do, you should do, but are positive for your future. And when they ask why I can't do these things, and tell them why, show them the reasons of the pros and the cons. I mean, understanding those things, and it's just being not just a parent, but a person in general, giving back to society. I think it's important. As parents, a lot of them miss out on that, but then there's some that really don't. I mean, the biggest conversation I have with a lot of people is like, the kids are soft now. They're not what the kids used to be. It's like, it's a different world these days. I'm 44 years old, and I mean, I was out on the streets as much as I possibly could, and the lights came on, I had to be in my house. I mean, I was up to about age 8. After that, I got to do what I wanted. I got pretty good free reign of what I wanted to do, but now it's just, I think it's important is the parenting. The kids have a little more respect, where they shake your hand, they look you straight in the eyes, and they tell them your name, open doors for women, say yes sir, no sir. I mean, I never came up from a military background, but I learned by watching films of watching people, how they treat me, is treat them respect by saying yes or no sir. And I get all the time that I forget, I'm an older man, and I still say it to guys who are younger than me. They're like, yeah, I'm not that old. You want to say sir? No, I'm just being respectful towards you. Yeah. And that's what I want my kids to see, that same thing too, is, when they go to order food and someone asks what they want to eat, and they said, yes, can I have this please? Thank you very much. And be respectful. I think kids have lost that completely.
How do you teach character, though? Because character's harder. Characters,
I think, as I do with my children, is I tell them, because they get an opportunity to play video games, but they earn it through their grades they get during school. How do they want their character in the video game to be? Do you want to be the big, strong, fast guy with all the moves in the world, or do you want to be the slow guy who can't do anything and just is not the great character? And they're like, no, I want the best character possible. I go, well, think of that same concept to yourself. How do you want people to perceive you? And that's my kids. They're outgoing. You walk in a room, like, oh, hi, how you doing? My name's Journey. My name's Jesse. My name's Jacob. Look you straight in the eyes, and they're respectful. They don't talk over each other, not over each other, but they don't talk over adults. They say respect to elders. When women walk to doors, they always open doors for them, and then the women take a step back. They're like, oh, whose children are these? And they see them, they go, oh, okay. They get the deal. But still, I think as parents, we got to be giving to our children and not really be so selfish and think of ourselves. Yes, we pay the bills. You got to teach them respect. You got to teach them these things with the hard work and dedication can achieve, because I'm doing it through my life. I've been lucky. My whole life, well, not my whole life, but probably all the way up to about 19, I was a democratic type of person. I was always looking for handouts. I was always looking for things that were easy. I was looking at I was deserve this, I'm deserve that. But I come to realize with hard work and dedication, I'm an American who works hard and trying to show my kids what hard work and dedication is truly about. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a liberal. I'm an American, and that's the way, plain and simple. With Mexican heritage, actually Portuguese heritage, English heritage, Irish heritage, Spanish heritage, African American heritage. I have so many backdrops behind me, but I'm a Californian in general. That's where my main source of my family came from.
Did you do 23andMe? Did you figure that all out?
No, I actually
did the DNA mapping.
I did the DNA mapping. I did do the DNA mapping, and I found out what it was.
Got a lot in there. That's a big combo.
Yeah, it was a really big combo. From my mother's side, it's Portuguese, Hawaiian, Irish, and American. Because my grandfather's, my mother's side was from Florida, Georgia. Was from Georgia, and my father. is from Santa Ana, California, but actually his grandmother and his mother and grandmother are from San Jose, California. Well, back in when before United States, or excuse me, when the United States took over California, there was the Spaniards and Russians and Californians that lived here. The Mexicans came in and conquered, so forth, that, and the Americans came in and conquered that for us. So that's where the
you got a good combo.
Yeah, good
those
combo.
are the strongest breeds, you know.
Yeah, right. No, I mean,
when you got the mixed breed. Yeah,
I am a warrior for sure.
What's funny though, so like, kind of dovetailing off of what you were talking about, you know, being there for your kids. You walk in the door. We're here at Punishment Athletics, and we're talking about what you got going on. You just walked out. You're doing some filming, acting. You got the auto group. You got you're still
management company, 360, my clothing company, and I'm still going to be competing again in August. So
and additionally, mentoring all of the other fighters on your team, like in your whole camp.
And doing motivational speeches. That's been something that's been really cool.
So you're being pulled. You've got all these commitments on your time.
Yes.
And then people throw this word around a lot, like balance. I like to stay balanced. Like, I don't really subscribe
to juggle. I like to juggle. Juggling's better.
How are you? Yeah, how good a juggler are you?
I'm a really good juggler. I think the timing sometimes I miss a little bit. Like with this, I almost double booked this with you guys. I try to cram as much as possible, but just as long as I'm there when I'm there, boys wake up in the morning, and when they go to sleep at night, I make sure I'm there.
Yeah.
They know that Dad's at home.
But if
I am out doing a movie or I'm out doing that, they understand that Dad has to go out and he has to work and he has to provide for the family. It's not like Dad just has to go work. He goes, no, he's going out to provide for the family. He's bringing the food back to the home. We get to have our lights on. We got nice clothes. They understand that. And that's why they work so hard in school. My kids are A and B students. I mean, they read at the 7th grade level. They're in the 4th grade. One of my son's Journey, he's in the GATE classes for gifted and talented education for the school. I mean, the kids are doing really, really well. But I started them early. I started with wrestling almost 6 years ago, and that showed them straight dedication because the practices are hard, they were tough, and they realized that these things that made them better, and not really realizing it until it already happened.
How do you articulate that to your kids? Because about you doing all these things and being this public figure, and how to explain that to them, because that's all they know. They don't really.
Well, they see the training too. Yeah. They see the training. They see the stuff I do in business, and it's funny because when Journey was probably about 4, my twins, Jesse and Journey, we were 4, we were going to lunch, and I had them in the baby chair seats in the back of the Phantom, which is the funniest thing in the world. But someone's screaming, Tito, yeah, Tito. And all of a sudden, Journey looks at me and he goes, Tito. I look at him, I go, excuse me? You don't call me Tito, I'm Dad to you. And then my other son, Jesse, and he's like, Dad, why do they call you Tito? Why do they like you so much? My dad, because I work really, really hard, and I have a lot of respect for myself, and people they respect me back. And I go, it's the way I carry my straight character. And they're like, wow, that's cool. And it was funny because we're actually shooting 30 for 30 for ESPN, and we're sitting down.
Another project?
Yeah, another project that we're doing.
We haven't even gotten into like half the project.
I don't know, not even yet. We're sitting at lunch, and they asked, well, why do you like Dad to fight? And Jesse, the older of the twins, by 15 minutes, he says, because he gets to win. And Journey says, because of the money. And he goes, if he works hard and he gets to win, he'll make the money. And it's like they understand what the hard work's like because they see me coming home where I'm like going, oh, my body's bruised, I'm sore, I'm beat up. Every once in a while I come home with a black eye, and they're like, you worked hard today, hard Dad? I mean, yeah, it's tough. And then that's it forces them to want to do more themselves. I mean, they're in jiu-jitsu, they're in kickboxing, and they're in wrestling. And they love it. They know it's hard, but they get through it.
But do you expect them to do those types of contact sports? Like if they're like, Dad, I'm going to take ballet, what would your response be?
I would be okay with it. I mean,
I think it would be too.
I would be okay with it. I mean, it'd be good for their balance. I try to do manly things around them all the time. A lot of society now, they are accepted to be any gender they want. I have a question with that. I mean, it's kind of sticky to get into because people kind of get their butt hurt about it. But I try to give my children an opportunity to be real men, showing what hard work and dedication is truly, truly about. I mean, and to be positive on all avenues that they do. I tell them, I want you guys to fail. I want you guys to fail, because once you guys fail, if you learn from that, you've learned something better. Now, if you fail and you don't learn from it, then you're not learning. You're just doing it to fail. Why would I want to do it to fail? I want to do it to learn something from it, to be successful because of it.
I don't think like the listeners or the general public understand. They love to see their people on a stage. They like to see that the showmanship, like all the stuff you see here, and like how much work, how many hours go into producing just this picture. And then I think what's really cool is to see the normalcy behind someone like you who does put in all that work. And we've hung out together. Like I've been to your birthday, and Dan, and we've socialized. It is very normal. And I think that's, again, like being a good dad, being a family man, like seeing you and Amber around the kids and like all the people invited into your home. And it's a normal home here in Huntington. It's they eat off paper plates, people, like it like and that. it's and mom's there. Mom's in the kitchen. Mom's in the kitchen cooking. She's making everybody eat more than they should. It's very normal. I think that that's what's cool about being on a show like this too. Is you can make that connection.
100%. I mean, to myself, I'm an average person who works super hard. That's all I do. I work. I worked for Donald Trump back in 2005, and I was the guy on his shoulder asking questions. I want to know what type of person he is. I want to know who he was. This before he even thought about running. I want to know who this guy was. How do you become a billionaire, lose everything, come back, become a billionaire again, lose everything, become a billionaire again? You're doing something great. You have a great team around you, or you've gone out and you sought out those people who can be great team members. And he's done something well. And I was on his shoulder, and I asked him, like, how do you stay a millionaire? I'm a millionaire, and I want to keep this million. How do you stay a million? He goes, you got to have 5 sources of income. Like 5 sources of income a year? I think I could do that. And that was stuck in my head since 2005. At that time, I had 2 businesses. Now I have 4, and possibly a 5th, working on Sea Monsters with Tito Ortiz.
That's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm excited with that.
Because you hate to fish.
I'm a better fisherman than I am a fighter. You guys are probably flipping out right now, but I can fish. I can fish. I can outfish.
The back of your deck.
I can outfish almost anyone.
Your back deck has got more fishing kit than like most Bass Pro Shops. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I love fishing. Is my complete. It's not even a hobby. It's like almost like a lifestyle. It's like that's me and my kids' time. We go fish. We go fish as much as possible. I mean, I have over the last 4 years, I have 2,500 hours on my engines, and my sons have put about 2,000 of those hours on it with me. Yeah, they put a lot of time, and this is full running time of hours. That boat has put some work on it for sure.
So you're approaching Ted Williams status because he was, obviously Inner Circle Hall of Famer. You're a Hall of Famer.
Yes, sir.
He's also Hall of Fame fisherman. He's
really?
In the Fishers. That's where you got to get.
I'm in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. California Wrestling Hall of Fame. All right, I got that one.
Well, he was also considered by many of his peers to be the greatest jet fighter pilot ever, if not.
Marine.
Yeah, and a Marine.
Okay. So I've been thinking about this.
Yeah.
Again, all these guys that have gone through basic training thing, once you go in for that, this is just me thinking outside the box. Once you go in for that, do you become a Marine? I become a Marine. Do you have to do everything Marines say? Like, you all of a sudden you're enlisted and you're done. You're like, you got to go do your 20 years or so forth.
Well,
is that how it works?
No, Pete's a Army veteran. He was, intelligence. He was a spy. Nick, who's in the studio with us, Nick Velez, president of Save the Brave and Bastards Canteen, one of my Marines.
Uh-huh.
So we all at one point went enlisted. I became an officer. I crossed over to the dark side. But once you're indoctrinated into that, it does become a part of you, and you have a lot of opportunities within that profession to do cool things, which set you up for success. And when we were having lunch before this, it's one of the questions we wanted to talk to you about is you're such a massive supporter of veterans.
100%.
Before my book launch, like I'm up here right here, we're shooting a video. You're like, bring the book in. We'll do a quick video, and you're pimping my book, and it's great, and blew up over social media. But continually, you've been to Kuwait, you've been to Iraq, you support vets. There's always something on your social media.
Sure.
I
just been in contact with one of my friends who's a Green Beret, Jeremy, who's actually coming back from Afghanistan. He was there for 18 months. He's been there his 15th time, and he packed everything up 3 days ago because I talked back and forth through a video on WhatsApp. But he's frontline guys that they lost, I think, 7 this tour. But he was able to come back, and I'm so close with so many. Like yesterday, one of my friends, Art, his father passed away. His father is a general and so forth, and I been so close to these guys, like I almost feel like I got to go do the basic training to feel like a part of the brotherhood a little bit, because I do so much.
Hey,
to give
there
back.
is an honorary Marine program.
Is there really?
So yeah, and I'm working on it for another author who's a friend of mine. But
because
I'm
physically, I know I can do it. Mentally, I know I can do it.
That.
I think it's as an American, I should do something like that just to prove to myself that it's capable, and
so
just to show to the country.
We're all fighters.
Yes.
You fight in a cage. You know, you train. We fought insurgents in Iraq and Afghanistan, and you know, we're fighters. I mean, we're warriors in one way, shape, or form or the other. Tell me, like, what drove you to do what you do, being from Huntington Beach, and then you get into the fight game, and then now maybe being one of those guys who are like, man, I really wish I'd have joined. And, you know, because at 44, like, not really feasible.
This is the craziest thing is I never knew my father served. My father served 9 years in the Army. I never knew that. I didn't know that until this year. I found actually last year in November, because I went and seen him. And I asked my mom. My mom goes, well, you know, Dad served for 9 years. I was like, thanks for telling me this. I'm 44 years old now, and I didn't even know that. But I really... What can I do to help? What can I do to help the guys that go back and forth? And they come home, is just, it's crazy. I want to make sure that they have someone to talk to. You know, one of my other friends who did a film, Max Martini, and it was it Mr. Gardine? It was about a former Marine who went in and he went to Iraq. He came back and he was a little brain damaged from the concussions and everything, and he just went some hard times, became alcoholic, and he just needed help. And the thing is just the government trying to help him. And the movie itself is really, really a good film, but it's just, how can it be like that?
I never like to throw out any form of patriotic guilt, like you should have done this, you should have supported this, but what makes you feel that way? What makes you think I need to provide this to the veteran community or active duty service members?
Well, I just think because they sacrificed so much for our country, and I, as a civilian, I can only speak, and I can only show my support by going to Iraq the 6 times that I went, going to Bethesda, Walter Reed, going to Balboa, going to Camp Pendleton, all those bases here in the United States. I think it's a part of showing your nationality of being American.
But I don't want you to say I can only do this, because that's a massive body of work.
Right.
And, you know, you don't have to do that. There's people that I support the troops. Great. Let's all put a bunch of money together. I'll go find a guy that needs to eat today, and we'll feed him until we run out of money. Well, you know, I don't got time for that.
Let's teach him how to eat. Right? Yeah. And that's what I've always learned as a guy growing up, you know, you give a guy some fish, he'll eat for a day.
Sure.
You teach a guy how to fish, he'll eat for the rest of his life.
Right.
That was me.
Yeah.
And that's how I was always growing up. I was growing up, food stamps, the handouts, government cheese, powder milk. My parents had a drug problem, and I lived through that. And I was like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
I would go to the pier. I mean, this is at 9 years old, 10 years old. This is my kid's age right now. I'd go to the pier, I'd go catch fish, I'd have my lunch and my dinner. I'd catch fish, sell them. I'd have their phone numbers. As soon as fish would start biting, make a phone call. They would come. I'd come sell fish. Then I got into wrestling. During the summertime, I would work on the fishing boats, and I'd wrestle during the year for school. My mom said, as long as you show up to school, that's all I care about. I didn't realize my education was so important. I needed education. That was something my parents never pushed on. I got C's to get by, and that was it. For wrestling, that's all you need was a C average. That's what I got by on. By the time my senior year came about, I realized that I had to get better grades. I graduated with a 3.75. I was lost, though. I was lost at the time. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But I knew I had to do something. I wanted to be successful. So I wanted to become a wrestling coach and a high school teacher. I want to get back to the kids, our teachers that gave to me, and do what they did. I found in fighting by accident. It was something that was a complete accident. I was wrestling at Golden West Junior College. Tank Abbott, who fought in the UFC, he stopped the guy, I think it was at UFC 6, in like 40 seconds, knocked the guy out, like launch chair, folded him up so quick. I was like, who the hell is this guy? He's from Huntington Beach. And all of a sudden, my wrestling coach is like, Tito, can you come in and train with Tank? I was like, Tank? He's not going to punch me, right? Like, no, just come and wrestle with him. So I come in and wrestle with him, and I do really well. And all of a sudden, I became doing really well to dominating him. Like, he couldn't get away from me. I could take him down at will. And I was like, all right. I saw a guy fighting Jerry Bolander, who fought in the UFC. I think it was UFC 8. And I was like, I want to give a try. Give this a try. At that time, I was at, like I said, Golden West Junior College. I was on a scholarship for being Latino. I got a stipend that paid for my books, paid for my units, my education at the time. And I gave it a try, and I stopped the guy in 31 seconds, UFC 13,
Wow.
May 30th, 1997. And it was something that was born in me. I became a fighter, and it wasn't just it was the attitude of competition, but it was the attitude of I was getting attention finally. It was a kid that was dying for attention because of my parents. And I worked as hard as I possibly could, all through the wrestling, all through going back and getting a true job. And all of a sudden I got an opportunity to make some really good money being a fighter. And I learned the harder I worked, the more I got out of it, the better I became. A year and a half later, I became the world champion. Fast forward now to 22 years later, I realized what hard work and dedication truly is about. It showed me through wrestling. I got to dedicate myself to not just my job as a fighter, but my job as a person. Outside of the cage, what else am I going to do? How am I going to be remembered? I'm remembered as a hard worker who's dedicated everything I always do with integrity. I've been through so much in my life. I shouldn't be here right now.
Sure.
I have had three choices. Dead, in prison, where I am right now. I think I'm doing pretty damn well.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I say, I think it's just working for the future. I want to work for something better. I want to work. Once something fails, I'll try to work up something idea that's new. And I think Donald Trump has done the same thing too, is where he had 5 companies, and he said those 5 companies, you make those run all by themselves for the whole year, you stay a millionaire. You do 15 companies, now you can chance to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
Okay. I fell at 20 of them. I'll make 20 more. He goes, I will work as hard as possible to make that happen. I've watched what he's done. He's kept his word, and that was another thing he said. He said, you have 2 things for the rest of your life: your word and your name. Don't ever tarnish your name for anything, and always keep your word. And I teach my kids that too. I teach my kids the same thing. I go, they'll get an A, and they'll get a little green slip and have a gold star in it, and we get ice cream on the weekend.
How tough is that? This is a like real world challenge. So balancing like everything you learned about being successful and translating that into business and multiple businesses, and keeping your honor clean, which is a hallmark of the military as well.
Yeah.
And being a respectful person, and now you're immersed in these multiple platforms on social media, right?
Yes.
And I mean, the day I was in here, I've told this story a couple of times. I told it to Pete before he even showed up. I said, yeah, there was something blasted out before the Ortiz-Liddell fight, and you go, hold on, Scotty, I got to respond to this, and you're blasting this live feed because someone was talking smack, like. It's a bit of showmanship.
It's showmanship,
and
yes.
You have to do that. And
yes.
how do you balance that? And where does that mental safety switch kick in? You're like, I shouldn't have said that, or I need to not say this. Is there a good? You got a good filter?
That's my problem. I say what's on my mind a lot, and I get shamed on it.
Do you regret that sometimes? You're like,
it's the truth.
Yeah.
You know what? People hate the worst to hear. The truth.
Yeah.
When they hear the truth, they disagree, and they have some other opinion that they think that's the truth. And what I think is the truth, I'm not going to lie to a person. Look it up. I'll say something that's the true, that I know the facts behind before I say it. I won't say anything that's non-factual. And that's been my trash talk through my whole career of 22 years. I do 3 things I make sure I never do. I don't talk about a person's family. I don't talk about a person's country. And I'll never say a lie about a person. I don't say anything I'll go straight for the guy's heart, and it's not talking smack to the fans. Fans, please, you got to understand that. It's strictly talking about the person who I'm competing against. I'm trying to dwindle his mind as much as possible. I mean, it's just mental warfare. That's what I try to play. So when I get in the cage and fight against a guy, he better know that I'm coming in serious. It's no joke.
Yeah.
Anybody who I fight, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a fight when I step in there.
We've witnessed it for 2 decades of following the sport.
People say it's about the money. Yes, it's about the money in the beginning, It's 1,000% about the money. 1,000. We wouldn't do this shit if not. I'm not going out and fight for free. It's about paying for what I want for my future. But when I step in the cage and I fight, as soon as I step in the cage and my feet touch the mat, it's not about how much money I'm making. It's not how much money I'm going to make if I win. It's about me kicking this guy's butt in front of me. That's my job, is to literally be faster, be first, be on him like...
This episode of the Break It Down Show is brought to you by Lions Rock Productions.
That's us.
We publish, evaluate, and develop podcasts just like this one, consult others to build their own, and create associated content and content marketing strategies.
So if you're launching or expanding your social media presence, your business, or your personal brand, or if you just want to take your media presence to the next level,
reach out to us on Twitter
at Pete A. Turner
or at JohnLG69
at the Break It Down Show.
There's 1,000 ways to get a hold of us.
Now enjoy the show.
Is to literally be faster, be first, be on him like fire. I just think I don't stop moving, and I'm forward. And I've been my whole career like that.
Do you have time mid-fight to doubt yourself, or is
Never.
that... So
you doubt yourself, you're going to lose.
Right. Okay, so there's no recovering from that.
No.
Okay.
You doubt yourself, you will lose. You question yourself, you lose. That's just in life in general.
Right.
If you question, you're going to I maybe can't do that. You will not do it.
Right.
You think I'm going to do it, I'm going to make it happen. And I do it prior to a fight. I do a lot of mental preparation I visualize it.
Yeah.
And I'll put myself into it.
Yeah.
And I'll be in a dark room, blacked out, no one in there, quiet as possible, and I could feel the people in the front of the audience. I could feel the people that are around me. I could feel like being in the cage, and I could picture the first punch. And I go through the whole fight 15 times the night before in my room.
Joe Frazier did that with Ali before their big fight in the Philippines. And some of the times he lost those fights in his visualizations. And they both damn near died in the ring. Yes. They're like, that's the pinnacle.
So that's when you put yourself through a situation that you don't know you can get through.
Okay.
And you go, can I make it past it? Because there has been that before when I fought Vitor Belfort and he broke my nose in the first minute and a half of the fight. And I felt like quitting. Mm-hmm. My body said, don't do it. My mind said, don't do it. Okay. My body questioned for a half a second.
Yeah.
But then I remember running all those stairs. I'd run stairs 5 days a week. We'd run for 45 minutes, and this is in 5,000 feet of altitude. And it is hard as hell, but that's what you learn so much by the pain you put your body through. And that's a training in general. I put my body through hell. Like when I fought Chuck, he was beat before he even knew it. I was stronger, faster, meaner, hungrier. I was on point. There was no injuries. I knew what I needed to do. Everything at home was perfect. And then just the psychological side of it. And everybody says, what's going to happen when you lose to him again? I was like, this ain't happening. I guarantee you it ain't happening. No way. I felt it was my time. I feel better now than I was when I was 34. Because I had so many back problems at the time. I had L45S1 that I had to have fused. My neck, I have a neck problem, knee problems, and I've got all that done.
And you also fought a lot more frequently back then, too.
Yeah, no, besides 1 year, 2006, I think I fought 4 times in 1 year. Mm-hmm. But prior to that, I would fight 1 to twice a year. And the reason I did that, because I don't want to spread myself out too thin, where I was able to be seen every single month. Then people got sick of watching me fight. When I fought, I tried to make it like the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I fought, wow, Tito Ortiz is fighting.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
You accomplished that. Just so you know, things. You did it.
Thank you. I try, man. There's a madness to the method, I guess you can say, as it comes out. But at the end of the day, when I go to bed, I look in the mirror at night. I make sure I try to do the right thing.
I want to ask you about the mental aspect of the game, because obviously you're good at it, but you must be learning from your peers and other fighters in the realm. Who do you see do the mental game, and you just go, God damn, I wish I could do it like that? Like, who's got skills that even if they're comparable, but they're not what you would do?
Conor McGregor, 1,000%. He is me times 10. That guy is just... He says some stuff that just makes me go, I want to high five him, man. That's just too damn funny. He does it good because he's confident. He's very, very confident. He's very cocky.
Yeah.
But he makes money. He's one of the highest paid mixed martial artists that ever fought before. And congratulations to him.
I think about Sugar Ray when he mentally beat Roberto Duran before he ever got in the ring. He was already 3 rounds up,
yep. And that happens, I learned that while watching Ali. He said just mental warfare. If you're able to beat a guy mentally before the fight will be easy.
Yeah.
But usually the fights are never easy. You still got to go through a war.
Yeah.
I think there's a theme throughout your career where you tie the fight game into business and being positive everything you do, and the theme of money. And I think what's important too is for listeners to understand that this is your chosen profession, and it's a job. And you just kind of hinted on the injuries, but like a year or two ago, like we were met, you were just recovering for some spinal surgeries. You've got a bunch of hardware and had you've been a human voodoo doll. They're sticking cortisone in you.
ACL replaced my left knee. ACL replaced my right knee. 50% of meniscus taken out of my right knee. I have L4-5 S1 fused. I have T3, T2, T2, T1, T1, C7 disc replacement. I have C6, C7 fused. I have C6, C5 disc replacement. I have C5, C4 fused. And I have a reattached retina in my left eye. And probably about 20 concussions through my career. What makes me keep going? I'm competitive. And I want to do the right things in my life. Yeah. Where I understand what I'm doing. But my mind hasn't took much damage. I do get depressed. I do get that kind of like, there's days where I got to turn the lights off. I got to go in my room. I just turn the TV on. No one bothers me. I'm like, tell my boys, you guys go play video games. I'm just going to chill. There's days like that. Don't get me wrong. I do have those days like that. But I'm able to get up out of it by going, you know what, I'm going to go train. So I go train.
To make that type of training investment, I think that's what I'm trying to articulate is that all the work and everything you don't see before you get inside that cage and the payoff monetarily, that's a huge investment that people don't see all of the steps that go into that before that, but you need that. That's why the purses are so high for these fights is because it has to sustain you. Yeah. This is not going to IBM fixing copy machines every day.
And I'm not going to be able to do it until I was 50 years old. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and hope I'm not fighting when I'm 50 years old.
And when does that cloud float over Tito Ortiz's head?
After this year, I think it finally says, it's time. The only reason I want to get one more just because when I fought Chuck Liddell, I felt so good. 18-week camp. That's the longest camp I ever had in my life. My whole career. And I've been fighting for almost 22 years. This is my lifestyle. I'm a fighter. At the end of the day, I'm a fighter. Either it's in life, in business, in the cage. As a parent, I'm a fighter. I'm going to fight to the bitter end because I know what's right and true and what I know and I need at the end of the day, and that's to be happy.
Well, we talked about that, and we talk about a lot in the military community is transitioning, going from a guy who's in the infantry or whatever, and like me, 10 deployments, throughout my career, and a couple combat deployments, and you lead this high tempo, this high paced lifestyle. How do you transition that? And I often tell people it's not all that stuff that I miss. It's the lack of friction, that lack of excitement. So you need to transition somehow and find a replacement for that. When you came into punishment today, you started talking about all the things you got going on. So at one point, how are you going to make that mental transition? There's not going to be any fisticuffs. There's not going to be rolling around on the mat. There's not going to be weightlifting.
Feel it. Let me tell you, because like I say, last time I fought was January 24th, November 24th, and I've had a little time off right now, and it's I get bored.
Yeah.
It's I get really bored. I mean, I have my other businesses. I make phone calls. I sign checks. I do all my other business, normal stuff. But then it's what else? Fishing's my game, and right now the weather's been horrible, so I haven't had an opportunity to go fishing at all. So it's that's always my. It seems like my end game is I'll go fish. It's I have my boat right by my house. I just hop on, put some fuel in. I'll take a Catalina or San Clemente or San Nick, and I'll go fish a couple of my buddies, and it's fun. But once again, as I go back to the Preston side of it, is training will cure any depression. I promise you. Because I felt it just this last 3 weeks. I started training again. And I was, my girlfriend Amber goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I feel just kind of bored. I'm not bored, but just I kind of felt down. I felt really down." I go, "You know what? I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go lift." I went to the gym, I lifted. I sweat the best I've sweat in such a long time. And let me tell you, my endorphins have kicked through the roof. And I was going wow, I wish I could tell every person who has some type of depression to go train and do something just to push their heart rate.
Tell them this right now.
You do have that depression. Just go press your heart rate. Go for a light jog. until you can't jog anymore, and then try to run past that and run through that barrier and push yourself as hard as possible. Because there's times when I am lifting, and I'm only lifting lightweight. I'm just looking for high reps, but I get that last 4 reps, and it's like, and I push myself as hard as I possibly could because I couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, and then I stop. I'm like, all right, let's try again. And again, then when I get done, I hop in my car. I'm like, God, that felt really, really good. And then it makes me go the next day, the next day, the next day.
Like I battle the depression thing, and there's like this test I have for myself when I walk out of the house or in. I sometimes get this impending doom feeling, part of my PTSD deal, and I deal with it. But today I was coming back from swimming. I swam basically a mile, and the grass was super green, and the sky was all blue, and I'm like, man, I got to remember to do this more and then share that with my friends. Because, there's no way to be depressed when you've got that good hard workout. Am I walking a little bit dizzy because I'm a little bit, but totally good in all ways. No time for all of those monsters that chase me,
Yeah, there was a time, actually, when I had my own other gym, Punishment Athletics. I was right down the street, and we did a thing for, was it Pro versus G.I. Joe?
Pro versus Joe,
Pro versus Joe. And brought like 8 service members who came in. A couple got a little beat up, and they came and worked out with me, and I put them through a session, and we would meet every single week. And every single week, those same guys would show up and they go, "We love this right now." And I did it up until we closed the shop down. And but it was cool to get back to those guys because they were pushing each other. They were screaming at each other, going, come on, stop being a pussy, come on. I was like, it was good to see the camaraderie towards each other. And there were different guys. There was Marines, there was Army guys, there was Navy guys, there was guys from the National Guard there. It was cool just to see the group of guys that were there. But to be able to give back to things like that, to understand that, if you're able to get off the couch and get out and do something, or just talk to someone, it makes a difference.
Well, that takes a certain capacity. Not everybody in your business can do that, or mine, or Pete's, or anybody have the capacity to really give a little bit of yourself like that. I think it really does speak to your character as a person to be able to make an impact on so many people and not expect anything in return. And that's a really cool thing about Tito Ortiz, and not everybody's like that. I got news for you, because there's plenty of people that we've interviewed, Tito, that when the show closes and we pack up the gear and we launch the podcast and we make a phone call and say, hey, you want to come to this event, or you want to go fishing with the guy? Crickets. Right. I mean, and that's the thing, but that's not you. You're more than that, and I love that about you.
Because like I say, I have my name and I have my word.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an honest guy. Like I say, I'm not a guy to lie about a person. I'm not a person to step on anybody to get ahead. I always reach down to help out, but once those people start pulling me down, I'll let go. Anybody burns me, I have no association with them. Anybody talks bad about me, or in my face, around my face, and has anything against me in a personal level or a business level, there's no excuse for it at all, unless they talk to me face to face about something. And that's it's being honest. It's really just being honest, not just for myself, but just anybody who I hang out with. The people who you associate yourself with is who you become. And I learned that at a young age because I used to hang out with bad people. I hung out with people who killed other people. I hung out with people who were gang members. I'd seen all that, and I was lucky enough at the time, at the age I was, to recognize it and going, that's not for me. That's not what I want to do. When I was 19 years old, I went to jail for assault with a deadly weapon. I was at a house downtown Huntington Beach, and one of my buddies got punched in the face by some skinhead, and he got jumped by like 5 of them. And I jumped in, and I knocked out like 3 of them, and knocked another one out, and the cops finally came, and they arrested me. And I got assaulted with severe bodily harm, assault with a deadly weapon. My hand was a deadly weapon. Ended up doing 59 days. I did 59 days in jail.
Pete asked me if he needed to wear a mouth guard before.
No.
No, Tito's not going to crush you.
No, let me tell you. But I sat in jail for 59 days. I've never been in jail since. And I was like, I will never I'll never break another law. And that's what I was just like, I understood that institutionalized with someone I did not want to be. Because there's guys that are going, yeah, I'm getting transferred in about 6 months. I'm going to do another year up in Lompoc. I'm like, another year? I've been here for 45 days right now. I'm like crying every night. I'm like, this is not for me. And I understand is being a criminal is not the right thing to do. Because at the end of the day, all those other people would always have to look over their shoulder. When I go to bed at night, I don't have to look over my shoulder. I do lock my door in my house. I do have my gun next to my bed for protecting my children. But at the end of the day, I don't have to look over my shoulder, and that's great because I'm an honest man. And I really look at the people that have kind of made excuse of the wall being built and Trump making all these different bad decisions and so forth. The security of the country is number one, and that's the way it should be. Plain and simple. If you care about these people come in the country legally, do it the right way. Do not break the law. If anybody do come here and they do break a law, they should go to jail. Anybody should go to jail if they break a law. That's why we live in a country of laws. I go to Mexico, it's lawless. Some of the places, you can pay your way out of to a cop. It's lawless there.
Yeah.
Other countries the same way. I look at the poverty. I don't want my country to have poverty like that.
Yeah.
We fight hard for it, and the Americans that go across other seas, go to other continents, and they fight for our country because they're trying to save what we have here. And I think that at the end of the day, as being a human being for the United States or as an American in general, should be our focus. Is not worry about the other people. Because I remember growing up as a little kid and wondering, why do they have this commercial on of this kid in Cambodia and you just pitch $1.50 for him? What about me? I'm an American and I'm living off food stamps. I'm living off of government cheese. And why are they caring about those other kids when they don't care about our own people? I never understood that, but now as I got older, I do understand it.
Yeah.
I understand it's all for money. People want to make money of other people just to help others. And it shouldn't be like that. We should think of our own, make us solid, then work on the outside from there.
Well, I think surrounding yourself with great people it's always been a mantra of mine. Like the only success I have in life is because I'm surrounded by great people. Nick, who's standing here, is great Marine, young 19-year-old kid fighting Ramadi with me. Wow. And even at this stage today, anything I've learned, and that tribe we surround ourselves with is really important for our continued success. And I think that's a great message. And with all the political hyperbole and everything that everyone espouses, it all becomes white noise. And
it is.
When you're grounded and doing the things that you do, Tito, to give back to your kids, as an example, give back to your fighting community, to mentor young athletes in your camp, and really set the example, man. That's what guys in the military do. So to think that you have to go to San Diego to MCRD, and I'll take you down there if you want to go. I know some people that knows. I know some people whose names are in brass on the front of the gate.
Yeah.
But you have nothing to prove, because the word service and sacrifice, the military doesn't own that. And you as an American, a proud American, you're serving in your own way. And you didn't have to wear a uniform to do that. And I always like to say that. I think that's an important thing to always remind people of. And, your patriotism is splattered all over your social media. Every time I talk to you, there's something like, and any listener, by the way, you want to break it into Tito's house, like, not worrying about getting your ass kicked by Tito Ortiz is bad enough, but he's like packing, so like,
ACOG all
like
day.
the worst house in America to break into. Like,
that's for sure.
So,
and as a kid, I never liked guns. I hate guns. I hated guns all the way up until about 5 years ago, and it was just like, I wanted secure for my home.
Yeah.
I wanted my kids secure because I just thought it was like, what if, because a lot of shooting started happening. I was like, what if someone did break into my house and thought they could take me or take my kids for ransom? I was like, all right, I'm going to start buying some guns here. It's like all of a sudden I got a Glock and 45 and AR and street sweeper, and I was like, I picked up little toys here and there, but I was like, I'm comfortable. My kids know not to touch them. They know for 1,000% do not touch them at all. They don't even know the lock to the key. I mean, I make sure that they understand the trustworthy behind all of it, and they build it. They build the trust, and just one of those things is I just got to worry about them playing video games. That is it.
Yeah,
it's good, man.
If that's the worst thing you got to worry about, that's
good. And it is,
like,
because it's like, once again, it's who you hang out with, it's who you become. And as a kid, I hung out with a lot of gang members. I hung out with drug addicts. I almost became those people, but it became a reality check. I had to look in the mirror. I was looking like, wow, I'm turning into my parents. I better change. And that was the age of 19 when I went back to junior college. I didn't want to become my parents. I was like, I got to change my life.
Yeah.
And I changed my life, and I got my AA degree. I became an MMA fighter, became the UFC light heavyweight champion, first Latino light heavyweight champion, and for 5 years, defended it 5 consecutive times. And I mean, like I say, 22 years later, I keep battling, and it's one of those things. Is I'm chasing the American dream, man, and I'm trying to chase it for my
Now
kids.
that you're surrounded by better people, you put yourself in these circles and you become successful, despite the people who want to talk smack to you, and you just, I always tell people, 1, consider the source, 2, don't drink the poison, man, because they're out there, especially on social media,
Oh my gosh.
keyboard commandos. But even the good people that are around you, people that have good intentions, how hard is it for you to say no?
I say no a lot. I do say no a lot. What I don't say no, and I have problems doing, is booking podcasts and booking interviews and booking for all my friends. I always say yes because I always want to give back. Saying no to pictures with my kids, having conversations with fans, because I'm giving.
Yeah.
My grandfather on my mother's side, Herman Johnson, late rest his soul, he actually was a priest for Pacific Palisades in Hawaii, and so he was a preacher. And my mom's like, Tito, I hear on a lot of your interviews, he goes, you sound just like Grandpa. And it's kind of crazy because I don't assume it, but I mean, when I was a freshman in high school, I started wrestling, and he pulled me aside and goes, Tito, we used to have talks all the time. He'd tell him about war because he used to live in Hawaii, World War II. He was actually, when he was a priest there, he worked for the Red Cross, and he'd take all the guys who got hit, and he'd bring them in his milk cart, or milk truck, and he drove them back and forth, helping them out. But he's like, this wrestling thing's going to be something good for you, son. And I remember him saying that. I'll never forget it. And I go, you think so, Grandpa? And he goes, yeah, son. He goes, I think you're going to do really, really well. He goes, you sure do got a body like a wrestler. He goes, I think you do well. He's from Georgia. And it was so crazy because through my career, there's always been little shines. There's always little signs, little small things that, is it him watching me?
Yeah.
Is it him blessing me? Is it him giving me that, like, keep working hard, keep working hard? And as he's saying, giving back so much, I don't give back looking forward to anything. I don't want anything. Hopefully I'm able to give something to somebody they learn from and they can give it on to others. Because that's what he used to do. He would just try to preach the Bible. And at the end of the day, the Bible is just showing people that there's laws in this world. There's laws that you got to abide by, and you got to keep those mental right foundations. The foundation of your life is what type of character you want to live. And I think at the end of the day, I mean, my character, I want to be a superstar. That's always been my goal. I want not a superstar fighter, not a championship fighter, but a superstar person where I'm able to say that I gave back to society. And that's the person who I look up to. People who I look up to are people who are able to give back to society. Not just give back to society on one level of saying, oh yeah, I pay taxes, I'm good. No, give back to society outside of that, where you're giving back to the troops, you're giving back to kids, you're giving back to society in general. Giving back to make something better by building business, by showing that it's possible to do. I was a kid in the street with my parents living in Harbor in a mobile home when I was 7 years old to 13 years old, and I should be here right here today.
Yeah.
I mean, I got my own clothing company. I got a house on the water. I remember when I was 13 years old and I was on the dock in that same harbor, and I told my buddies I'm going to own a house in that harbor. They said, shut up and bait the hook. I go, no, really, I'm going to own a house like that. I promise you. I'm going to own one of these houses. Yeah, it took almost 30 years to get it, but I got to that point. Rolls-Royce Phantom, my senior year. Snoop Dogg had a song that said, Papa Like a Tot, Papa Like a Tot, and he had a Rolls-Royce in it. I looked at that car and I was like, wow, that car is amazing. I want that car. 2006, I purchased that car. I was able to purchase it. I've set goals through my life and achieved those goals. And yes, these are all just small toys, but they've been goals.
Yeah.
They've been goals for me to achieve, to making sure that I'm on the right set. I'm doing the right things. Achieving goals for my kids, making sure they're getting straight A's. At least A's and B's. And I said, yeah, I don't expect straight A's. I would like to see straight A's, but A's and B's at least. If there's a C in there, that means you're not working hard enough. And they understand. And it's turning in homework, making sure it's not late homework, making sure the homework's complete and finished. My son Journey, his promise thing is he'll read to the sentence and he won't answer the question the right way. And it's like, go back to it again. Yeah. Read it, won't get it. Go back to it again. Read it, read all of it, read every word. And then he gets it and he understands it. But it's just fulfilling everything the right way.
Yeah, when you grow up in the environment that they've grown up in, with all that surrounded by success, I think that becomes their new normal. And when you break it down to grades, I do this with my daughter too, is like, this is what you are surrounded by, not average. C, average. If you want this, not average. You have to be putting in more work and doing the work around you. And I think that throughout your career, you've obviously done that. You're setting the
I
example.
mean, I've done every single job.
Oh, I know.
I've worked on fishing boats. I've worked at pizza parlors. I've worked at bars. I've done roofing. I've done tiling. I've done framing. I've done almost everything. And there was jobs I said, this ain't one for me. This ain't for me. This ain't for me. I remember working at the pizza shop going, I'm not going to sit here and roll pizzas my whole life. No possible way. So I went outside the box. I was like, I'm jumping outside. I go, you leave you guys here, and there's guys that still do that stuff.
Yeah.
And they still, I mean, if you're satisfied of what your future wants to hold, that's what you're satisfied with, then you can stick it there. If you wake up every day and go, I wish I could do something better, well, go outside and do something better. You have a 5-hour to 6-hour time of sleeping. What are you doing with the rest of your time? And that's one of the questions I had with Donald Trump, our president, is when do you sleep? So I sleep about 4 hours a day. I go, well, when do you stop working? He goes, never. He goes, when I go to sleep that 4 hours, people are working for me. Because the rest of those hours, I'm working no matter what. And that shows dedication. That shows dedication of what he wants. I mean, he's our president. I mean, like I say, I'm speaking for a man that I've known since 2005, and I got to meet him a person to person, not as a president. I met a person to person. When he was on his running for presidency, I got an opportunity to meet him. He was like, "Hey, Tito, how you doing? Good to see you again." Like, he was a gentleman. That was the first time I met him. And to be someone as gracious with his time as he was towards me, to a kid, I was the UFC bad boy, former UFC champion. I was a fighter. That's all he assumed. But then outside, before he fired me, he goes, this Tito guy, he's going to be someone special. I knew I was going to get fired, though. He goes, you know what, Tito, I like you so much, I'm giving $50,000 to St. Jude's because of you, because you're a good dude. You got some good things planned for you in the future. He goes, but you're fired. I was like, gosh. But 8 weeks, it was the longest 8 weeks I had in New York. It was a great time. I learned a lot. I learned a lot of trials and tribulations. I learned a lot of things through work of being the apprentice. It's hard work. It's not my type of work. I'm a person to tell people how to do the things. Yeah. And if they don't know how to do them, I'll help them show them. But I'll make sure they know how to do them. If not, I go find somebody else to find how to do those things. I'm a better delegator than anything else, I think.
Sharing that story of success, I think, is really important. Whenever we do a show like this, and every one of us in this room, there's a moment where we look back, or we sit here today and we're like, I never thought I'd be sitting here doing a podcast with, MMA superstar, bank owner Tito Ortiz, but here I am. We're doing it. And it's just through being surrounded by good people and really putting in the work and your integrity, how your name is recognized, who you can trust, and building that. And this is an example of it. And I love sharing that story to anyone who's listened who thinks that folding pizza boxes is their lifetime. No. Put the work in, man, and create opportunities for yourself every single day, and you're doing that.
Yes, so, I mean, even if you don't create opportunities, there's opportunities that'll create themselves. Yeah. And you got to recognize them. You got to recognize when they do come, and they're not accidents. And I don't believe in accidents. I believe everything happens for a reason. There's a reason why there's everything that does happen, and if there's bad things coming on you, you did some bad things, they're finally coming back on you.
So let's talk about, we only got a little bit of time left, but we could talk about more, but let's talk about some of the upcoming opportunities that are happening for you. Like, I know you're acting now, and then let's talk a little bit about Sea Monsters, because Nick and I, was stoked on fishing and Save the Brave and Dr. Dan, and we always go out and fish. So, and I caught a 40-pound white sea bass this year.
Nice.
Shay was pretty pissed. Yeah, he's like, nice. I've never landed that. So nice. Talk to us about that. Talk about the new shows.
I fished from about the age of 6. I fished my father a lot. My father had a cabinet business. He was a carpenter, and his whole company went fishing on a boat down in Newport Landing. And I knew all the fish. I mean, not all the fish, but I knew most of the fish. And every time they go, there's a calico bass. And I mean, I was a little 7-year-old kid. Like, deckhand was like, how do you know what that fish is? I'm all, because I mean, I love fishing. I look them up. I always like, I know that fish, like halibut and barracuda. And he was like, wow. He goes, you like to fish a lot, huh? I go, yeah, I love to fish. He goes, you come out here. And I go, you come fish for free, and you can scrub the boat on the way in. I was like, sign me up, I'm in. I go, Mom, we do that? She goes, well, maybe if we come down next week. And I was like, I was on the bus the next day. I was already there. I skipped school, and I got out, and I was hooked. And I loved it. And I've always had an opportunity, and when I became world champion, was to go out and fish at other places, like go to Hawaii, fish in Gloucester, fish down in Cabo, fish in the Caribbeans. Never got a chance to fish in Australia, but this show hopefully will lead on to it. But I've always wondered, what was the biggest fish in the sea? What are the world records out there? How could I capture world record fish and show the world? I knew that they had river monsters. I did really well. I was like, sea monsters. How come no one ever did sea monsters? So me and Cindy, my assistant, I was like, let's look this up. I started looking up. There was nothing online. I was like, wow, everything was free. I was like, oh, I bought this and bought that and bought this and bought that. I was like, okay, I'm going to start thinking about this. And this was 2 years ago. And the idea is going to each one of these areas, like Gloucester, where they got bluefin tuna. Bluefin tuna get up to, I don't know, 1,200 pounds.
Yeah, right. Huge. Yeah.
Huge fish.
Yeah.
These are sea monsters. And show where it's being sold. Show us how it's being caught. What are the rigs being caught on? What are the lines being caught on? What are the baits being caught on? How long does it take to catch the fish in?
Yeah.
How do they clean them the right ways? And how do they ship them the right way to Japan? And how they're being sold at market. There's a whole show right there. That's one show. Now going to Australia and finding black marlin. What's the largest black marlin? 692 pounds.
Jeez.
That's the world record. Trying to set that world record.
Yeah.
And maybe if you don't, maybe you get an opportunity to see how big those sea monsters are. But there's other big fish out there too, so you're not sure what you're going to catch, and there's your opportunity. Having another one of going in Puerto Vallarta down in Mexico looking for the yellowfin tuna. The largest to date is 429 pounds. Catching that world record. And maybe feeding the village down in Mexico and giving back.
That's
doing
cool.
Doing different things, and making interesting.
Is it going to be one crew on one boat? Is it going to focus around that? Or is it going to be you with other badass fishermen around the world?
I'll bring a different guy for each show, but I want to bring the way they fish in the area and bring him on the show with me and educate the fans of what that type of fishing is like in that area and what those fish are being done with, because there's fish out there that are huge that maybe that Loch Ness monster is out there.
What's the biggest catfish that's been noodled?
Biggest catfish has been noodle. I think it's been like 90 pounds or 80 pounds or something.
You're all over that.
That's freshwater fishing, though.
You're just going to strangulate it.
Yeah, no, that's fun.
Yeah, Tito Ortiz. I picked the wrong hand to swallow.
I would like to get a 1,600 pound bluefin tuna. I'd like to set a world record on that. Awesome. That'd be beautiful. I got a 93-inch bluefin tuna in Gloucester. I fished with TJ. I don't know if you watched Wicked Tuna before, but he's a captain on hot tuna, and I fished and I caught a 93-inch bluefin tuna. It took about 51 minutes to bring in, but I'm just so interested in it, but being able to go out and maybe it's a thing for Discovery Channel or maybe for Travel Channel, but something along the line is not really just about the fishing, but about the excitement of going out in that area that people have never seen before. That like going, wow, I've seen a fish that place. I want to fish there.
Yeah.
Go out there and go fish and go see what the biggest fish is in that area.
I like it.
And try to catch that sea monster.
I like
with
it.
Tito Ortiz.
That's another, with Tito Ortiz. I like it. It's another category of superstar that you fall into, Ted Williams-esque.
Yeah.
So
Hall of Fame.
it's going to be amazing, man. So. What else you want listeners? Where do you want them to follow you at?
Yeah, of course on Instagram it's Tito Ortiz and it's 1999. People go, why do you say 1999? Because that's when Punishment Athletics, my clothing company, was started in 1999. So I do Tito Ortiz 1999 because there was another Tito Ortiz on there, but that's not me. I'm Tito Ortiz 1999 on Instagram, and of course on Twitter it's Tito Ortiz. On Facebook it's Tito Ortiz. That's it. Of course. TOAutogroup.com, my wholesale car business.
Yeah.
Punishment Athletics, my clothing company. Primetime 360ESM.com or Primetime 360 ESM on Twitter or Instagram. That's my management company that I manage fighters. What else? That's pretty much what's in the works, man. That's possibly another fight here coming up. I talked to my manager earlier today, and he said we'll get the deal done by next week, that they're pretty much in agreement and everything that I asked for. So
nice.
I asked for the world, and they gave me the world plus the sun and a couple moons. No, I've been lucky. I'll take that back. I've worked really, really hard. I will not say I'm lucky. I've worked really hard, and this fight, the guy who I'm competing with, I can't let anybody know yet, but this is an opportunity that I could have some fun again. go out there and have some fun.
That's awesome, man.
Go out there and have some fun and make it exciting.
Keep up the fire, man. I mean,
it is.
I'm proud to call you friend, and you're doing great things, man. Thanks for having me and Pete, and Nick.
Yeah, for sure.
To Cindy, she's up there
doing
the hard work, and she set all this up, man. We love you, Cindy. If you listen to this podcast.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all the listeners, too. Thank you.